You did, indeed. All right, listen, we're going to talk much more about Lopetegui at 5:30 in the Sports Centre. But in the transfer show, I want to talk Manchester United now, Dharmesh. Right, people saying Kobbie Mainoo, Alejandro Garnacho could be up for sale at United. Surely not.
This is interesting, what's going on at Manchester United just now. What I can say is that Manchester United do not want to sell the two players on the screen just now in Kobbie Mainoo and Alejandro Garnacho, and they're not actively looking to sell. However, and I think this can be said for any football club and any squad, no player is untouchable, because everyone says, you know, they're not for sale, but every player at the end of the day has a price. So with that in mind, if we just look at Mainoo himself, we're told that he's got no concerns over his contract, he's no concerns over his Manchester United future, he feels valued. He's actually got a contract that runs up until 2027 anyway. Manchester United have got the option to increase that contract by a further 12 months, and talks have actually taken place over a new contract with improved terms, given his impressive performances.
Not agreed or anything, though, is it?
Not yet, but the lines of communication between Manchester United and Kobbie Mainoo's representatives remain open. As for that man over there, Alejandro Garnacho, his contract is running until 2028. One thing I should make clear, though, we always talk about PSR. June the 30th is that date that nobody wants to look at, but we do have to look at it. They don't want to be in a position, Manchester United, nor do any other club, come June the 30th, in that week leading up to it, we need to get rid of players. They want to have their books in order before July the 1st comes along, so that they can really go for it in a summer transfer window. And as far as we're aware, Manchester United are confident of complying with profit and sustainability rules. But it is clear that some players will have to leave the club for that man there, Ruben Amorim, to bring new faces in. Homegrown players, we do know, like Kobbie Mainoo, would represent pure profit. But as far as we understand, Manchester United have got no intention of letting players like that go.
Michael, he's brushing off this phrase, untouchable, or this word untouchable, but come on, if you're a United fan and no player in the squad is untouchable, you are going to be worried that you could lose a gem like that.
Yeah, I think, look, if you hear anyone, it's interesting to hear ex-Manchester United players, and I think they've all said, I heard Nicky Butt on the radio the other week saying Ruben Amorim needs maybe 2, 3, even 4 transfer windows. But look at it from maybe Ineos's point of view, how that would look from their perspective if they were to sell Kobbie Mainoo, who's, for me, look, there's been a lot of negativity near the end of the Erik ten Hag era. Yes, OK, they won the FA Cup, but apart from that, it was all pretty negative. Apart from that man right there, and his performances earned him a place in the England World Cup squad, and he featured, the Euros, and he featured for England as well. It wouldn't be a good look, and it certainly wouldn't be a good look for Ineos. Speaking
of a good look, though, they've nailed a player down, or close to.
Yeah, this is great news for Manchester United. Ruben Amorim said last week that it was close, and what I'm talking about is a new contract for Amad Diallo. Now, we're told that an agreement has been reached and a formal announcement should be made very, very soon. It should be remembered here, Amad actually has entered the final 6 months of his contract, but United had an option to extend that contract for a further 12 months. They've chosen not to trigger that option, but instead engage in talks with Amad Diallo and his representatives over fresh terms to reflect the impressive performances that he has displayed.
So they want him, is that what you're saying?
Absolutely, absolutely. So it is one of the shining lights since Ruben Amorim has come into the club, and he's going to be rewarded for those impressive performances with a new contract. I have to say he probably deserves it.
Shining light since the club. I guess that's the polar opposite of how Marcus Rashford is viewed. Is he any closer to going?
Right. There's a few issues here that we need to specify. First of all, we heard earlier on this morning that Rashford's brother and his agent are out in Milan discussing a potential move to AC Milan, just to explore the conditions of a potential loan move. A number of clubs now are expected to approach Manchester United about a potential deal for Marcus Rashford. AC Milan, for their part, have made Rashford their primary target in this transfer window, but they only want to do a loan. Borussia Dortmund and Juventus are also interested. And in fact, the Borussia Dortmund head coach, Nuri Sahin, he was asked directly about the potential move for Marcus Rashford. This is what he had to say. Anything can happen. It's not as easy as in winter as it is in summer. We'd be prepared to do something, but we'll only do it if it makes us better. We're not going to get carried away. Since then, Sky Germany have actually said that it looks unlikely Rashford could go to Dortmund simply because the figures wouldn't work out for Borussia Dortmund. Such is the wage that Marcus Rashford is on. As for Manchester United, they're understood to be discussing internally what would be the best course of action with regard to Marcus Rashford in this transfer window. Do they allow him to go on a straight loan, or is there the prospect of maybe a loan with an option or maybe even an obligation as well, if indeed they allow him to leave? I think a permanent departure for Marcus Rashford will probably be reassessed in the summer transfer window, when hopefully by then, for Manchester United's sake, they will have a higher increased market value for the player. Because if you're going to go into the market for Marcus Rashford on a permanent deal right now, when it's clear he's not in the plans and he hasn't been featuring in squads, how much money are you actually going to get? Rashford himself wasn't training with the United squad earlier on today, but he was due to be training individually as he recovers from the illness that got him out of the squad for the game against Liverpool on Sunday.
Michael, Darmesh just said then that Rashford's brother, who's his agent, is in Milan to talk to AC Milan. Tell us why there's a link at Milan which might make this have a little twist.
Yeah, it's Zlatan Ibrahimovic, who knows Marcus Rashford ever so well from the 2016-17 season they played together, and you can find quotes from Ibrahimovic back then saying just how much how highly regards Marcus Rashford, called him the future of England. Now, he's got an ambassadorial role at AC Milan. And look, seeing AC Milan at the moment, not doing too well in Serie A, but they've got the charismatic Sergio Conceição now as the head coach. They've just won the Italian Super Cup. I was watching them at the moment. I had a look at them last night about how good that would be for maybe Rashford to fit in there. So certainly one to keep an eye on, and very interesting that Ibrahimovic might have an influence there.
Yeah. Darmesh, if Rashford does go, do United bring someone in?
I think they would look to do just that. And it's our understanding that they've actually made inquiries to Paris Saint-Germain for their French international striker, Kolo Muani. Now, this is a player that United have actually had a long-standing interest in, because if you go back to the summer transfer window in 2023, Muani was extensively scouted by Manchester United. In the end, Manchester United decided to sign Rasmus Højlund from Atalanta. But it's clear that they admire the player. Now, at the time, they couldn't get him. We've come to January 2025, and it appears that PSG look like they might want to do business. He's only started 2 Liga games all season. So you would think that he's not fitting in the plans there at PSG. And as far as PSG are concerned, they would prefer a permanent move for Muani in this transfer window. But as I've been saying throughout this transfer window, it's always very, very difficult to get big deals like this done. But they'd at least want, I think, the loan with the guarantee that that loan would turn into an obligation at some point.
Michael, if Manchester United want him, would they get a clear run at him?
No, I don't think so. I think Spurs like him as well. And Spurs, their primary objective now is to sign a forward. They've signed a goalkeeper, Anton Kinski. My understanding is they're looking at potentially a defender and a forward, but the preference is to go for a forward now. Heung-min Son obviously signed his new contract yesterday, but he hasn't played as many games. Timo Werner, it's been a tough season for him, let's be honest. Richarlison is still out injured. He might be on the bench tonight. I doubt it. He'll probably be back next week against Arsenal. So, yes, there's interest there that scouts all look at the same player. That's the nature of football now at top level. Everyone's aware of him, and Spurs want to be kept aware of him as well. I
want to talk Chelsea with you. Big squad, of course. Are they going to trim it? And is Christopher Nkunku one of those who could go?
This is really interesting because you look at the players now of the era now of the current Chelsea, and we've spoken about how Chelsea operate in terms of transfers, contracts, and we know that Chelsea don't like to now pay big wages, but they like long contracts. Of course, there was talk about Nkunku potentially moving on. Nothing's really accelerated on that just yet. But what does interest me, if he was to leave, if these players are now on long contracts, what will Chelsea have to pay out? We saw Cole Palmer on a really long contract. I mean, he's probably been one of Chelsea's best signings in years. Not on the highest of wage, but on a long contract. So it'd be interesting how it pans out with players Enzo Maresca's not massively keen on when they've got long contracts. But I must say, I must give credit to Enzo Maresca because he said to us throughout the summer, last summer, we always kept talking to him, didn't we, at press conferences, you got 35 players, you got 35. And he always said, not me, I want to work with 23, 24. And to be fair to him, he stuck to that. But Nkunku's done ever so well in Europe, so we'll wait and see on this one.
Yeah, 6 years he signed for, he's got 4.5 years left. He'll want to be shown his money. All right, we're going to take a break.